The myth of Psyche and Eros and the Greek words for love have some wonderful lessons for people who are writing romance, whether you're a cozy mystery author or, I think, a romance writer. For the ancient Greeks, love was not a single emotion. It was a spectrum of experiences. And at the heart of that understanding of love is the myth of Psyche and Eros. This is just, I should say, a very bare bones outline of the story. Psyche was so beautiful that people began abandoning the temples to Aphrodite and going to worship at Psyche's feet. Aphrodite did not like this. She sent her son Eros to make Psyche fall in love with the most ridiculous creature he could find. But, plot twist, Eros fell in love with Psyche. He whisks her off to his magical castle. She falls in love with him in turn, and they marry. One problem: Eros is invisible. Well, actually, two problems. He hasn't told her who he is because he can't. And she keeps asking him, "Why can't I see you? What if you're a monster? How am I supposed to know what you look like?" And he keeps telling her, "You just have to trust me. If you did see me, then the gods would force us to part. And if I was a monster, well, monsters can't be that bad, can they?" But this only satisfies her temporarily, and eventually she can't stand it. One night she gets up, takes an oil lamp, returns with it into their bedroom, and holding it aloft, she sees the god of passion, Eros, lying in their bed. Some of the oil drips from the lamp onto his skin and burns him. He leaps from the bed with a roar of anguish and despair, and he flies out the window because love cannot exist without trust. Psyche is devastated by this, and she's ashamed as well. And so she begins an epic quest to find her lost love. First, she goes to the temple of Demeter. The goddess Demeter tells her, "Sorry, I can't help you. I can't cross Aphrodite." Then she goes to the temple of Hera, and Hera tells her the same thing. Finally, she realizes there is only one goddess who can possibly help her, and that is her mother-in-law. She goes to the temple of Aphrodite. Now, if Aphrodite was angry at Psyche before, she is furious now because she's found out that Psyche has actually married her son. So when Psyche asks for her help, Aphrodite says, "Oh, yes, I'll help you. But first, I'd like you to do a few things for me." And she proceeds to set Psyche three impossible tasks. Psyche actually succeeds at all of these tasks with the help of the gods and some mythological creatures. Now Aphrodite is not playing. She wants Psyche dead. So she tells her, "I've got one more job for you. Take this box to the underworld, find Queen Persephone, siphon off just a tiny bit of her beauty, put it in the box, and bring it back to me." The only way Psyche can figure to get to the underworld is through death. So she climbs to the top of the tallest tower she can find and prepares to throw herself off. And as she's looking down at the pavement far, far, far below and the birds wheeling beneath her, the tower speaks to her and says, "Wait, don't do it. I know how you can get to the underworld without killing yourself." And the tower proceeds to give her directions. She finds her way to the underworld. She finds Queen Persephone, and Persephone is actually flattered that the goddess of love and beauty herself wants a little bit of her beauty. So she siphons off a little of her beauty, puts it in the box, and gives it to Psyche. Psyche escapes the underworld. Victory is at hand, but she can't resist looking inside the box. She opens it up, looks inside, and sees nothing. The box is empty. At this point, Psyche falls down as if dead. Now, Eros, meanwhile, has discovered what his mother has been up to, and he's searching for Psyche. He finds her lifeless body, awakens her with a kiss, and flies her up to Mount Olympus, where he begs Zeus to grant Psyche immortality. Zeus gives her immortality, and the two live happily ever after. Eros is the Greek word for passionate form of love. This is just one of many types of love that the ancient Greeks identified. There's also ludos, which is the early stages, the flirtatious form of love, when everything is fun and exciting. Philia is the type of love between friends and siblings. It emphasizes loyalty and the comfort of that friendship. Philautia is self-love. Aristotle differentiated between healthy self-love, self-esteem, which enables us to give love more freely to others, and the unhealthy form, narcissism. Agape is selfless love, it's spiritual love. It is love without expectation. And then there is pragma, which is the long-standing love, the sort of love that grows between a couple that's been together for years and years and years, and that stands the test of time and trials. Myths are squirrely things. They always have more than one meaning. And the myth of Eros and Psyche is no different. On the one hand, Psyche means soul in Greek. So we have this story where the human soul is so beautiful that the goddess of love and beauty herself pales in comparison. And what's up with that box? Does it mean that beauty is more than skin deep? But if you look at the story as a whole, it is a story of the soul's, Psyche's journey to love. Each challenge Psyche faces forces her to confront her fears and her insecurities until she finally faces death itself. She has a metaphorical death, and then she is reborn to her new self. She has to lose all the things that held her back from pragma. We are all worthy of love, but like Psyche, not all of us had the best role models, and that makes it difficult for us to experience lasting love, the pragma. But like Psyche, we can learn. What I realized is that for a writer to show love developing on the page and to get to that happily ever after, they need to show all the different forms of love that the Greeks identified. A happily ever after requires all of those things. It requires friendship, loyalty, loving without expectation, flirtation, passion, and yes, self-esteem. Romance novels usually end with at the beginning of the happily ever after. We just assume it's a happily ever after. But if you're writing a series of cozy mysteries, you may be writing these people as a couple. And you'll need to keep it fun and exciting and interesting. As writers, we also need to show personal growth. And personal growth when it comes to relationships is something that many, many, many of us can relate to. So it's wonderful to show it on the page, much like the myth of Psyche and Eros. I also think from a non-writerly perspective, just as a human being, we can ask, what type of love do we want to work on today? Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.